Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Grow RDH podcast. We are continuing on our Enneagram journey, and tonight we have an Enneagram 2 with us. And full disclosure, this is my sister, so I'm super excited to have her on. She is also a dental hygienist. I think I've talked about her before. And we've been talking about when we are going to get to do this. And so she's an Enneagram 2. So perfect timing. She is going to come on and talk to us about being a 2 and what that looks like. So to start, I'm just going to briefly describe a 2. So Enneagram 2 is known as the helper. Helpers are compassionate, generous, and driven by a desire to feel loved and needed. Twos thrive on building relationships and supporting others, often putting others' needs ahead of their own. At their best, they're empathetic and selfless, but they can struggle with people pleasing, overextending themselves, and feeling unappreciated. Their core fear is being unloved or unwanted, and their core desire is to deeply connect with others and to be valued for their care and support that they provide. So with that, I'm going to let Kelsey introduce herself, tell us a little bit about her dental hygiene journey, a little bit about her family. You might hear some kiddos in the background.
I'm sorry.
No, it's totally fine. So Kelsey, I'll just let you introduce yourself.
Hello. So my name is Kelsey. I graduated from USD in 2010. So I'm on my 15th year. I have worked at the same private practice the entire time since I've graduated. And for the last 5 years, I also work as a clinical instructor for USD. I have 2 littles and then 1 stepson who's in college. So we have quite the range of kids, and then married and have my dog Melvin. That's about it.
And if you listen to my Enneagram introduction episode, as I was talking about my brother-in-law, who's a 6, Kelsey is married to Josh, who is a very strong 6. So we'll talk about that in the 6th episode. But that just gives a little background to Kelsey and our family. And Josh is awesome and we love him.
We do.
Okay, so we're going to get into the questions now. And we're going to start by the true nature of a helper, right? So they're helpers and they're deeply attuned to the needs of others. So that is a huge strength in a caregiving role. And I do this with the students every year, and a majority of them are 2s or 9s. So I don't have the data, there's no research on this, but it makes me believe that helpers tend to go into healthcare because it's such a giving profession, right? Yeah. So how does this strength show up in the way that you connect with patients, especially, and then your coworkers?
Yes, I definitely think that being a 2 is what motivates you to going into health science profession. I think it can be beneficial for that reason. And I think that love to connect to people helps build trust with your patient, which I think is so important for them to trust what you want to do as in treatment. I chose this profession just to help people. And I think I portray that to the patient. And I also just love like the follow-up with patients and the relationships that I built with such a wide range of people. Now that I have been in the game now for 15 years, I think like you started when these kids were kids and now they're going to college, and it's just so fun to watch those relationships grow, and those young adults who are maybe now a grandparent for the first time. I eat that up. Like that is just that's such a huge part of what I really enjoy about being in this position. But then also like deep down, like you're helping people. I am an overexcited person. I'm always a type 2, but I always score high with type 7. Like I'm the annoying 2, I think. Very enthusiastic, I guess. So periotherapy for me is like therapeutic personally. Like, as a hygienist and into perio, like it's so fun to just transform a mouth. And when you get excited and your patient already trusts you. You've built that trust. You've come up with this treatment plan together. And then it's not like you just drop them, right? Like when they come back for the 3 months, and it's so exciting to see what I've done improve the mouth, but for them, for their health, and I deeply care, not just, okay, you're a patient. It's not, you're not just getting them in and out. To see people transform their overall health is just fun. And I think doing that with so many different wide range of people, it's fun.
Yeah, and that
So
kind of ties into another really strong trait of twos, and that is being able to anticipate the needs of others. So how does that, okay, so anticipating, like you are really good at reading people and reading like what they're looking for and what is going to get them to kind of accept treatment and do that. So using that anticipating of needs trait, can you think of an example of like a specific patient, you don't have to use names, but specific examples of times where you were able to anticipate and meet a patient's needs just based on your natural intuition?
yeah, so I do. I think every patient, you obviously treat different. And I think as a two, you do really kind of feel that vibe of what are they going to respond to? What's important for this person? So, yes, I think that having that ability to read people gives you, everybody's going to take treatment different, and if you can kind of understand what's important to that patient and how to present it to that patient, they're going to more likely trust what you're bringing to them when you're bringing it in a way that they feel comfortable with and what they understand. I always think of one of my favorites, and my husband makes fun of me every week because I think on a weekly basis, I come home and I've had my favorite patient that day, and I have a lot of them. But one of my favorites is a patient with cerebral palsy. And obviously, the dental appointments are very difficult. And he wasn't very receptive. I don't know what his past dental history looked like, but we vibed right away. He struggled because we've all had those patients that physically that's a difficult place to be. And as we've now built our relationship, and it's not me, but it's him, because I think he trusts me. And we've just built this really cool relationship. And I get teased all the time because we just kind of have to add maybe like 15 minutes so him and I can just talk. But he went from not handling those dental appointments very good to now he works his butt off to get through them, because I think he does it for me just because I get so excited when he does a good job. And that's been one of those big ones that I'm like, we did that together. This is a teamwork. It's not just all on me, but because we have built that relationship, he gets through those appointments way better than those early appointments.
Yeah, I love that. Yay.
Yeah,
That's a story. I like that. So thank you for sharing. So when we talk about twos, so those are really good traits, right? You can anticipate needs, you're very attuned to others and connection. So sometimes, because in the workplace that turns into you want to attune to the needs of your coworkers, how does that play out? Do you sometimes twos can get burnt out really easy because they don't want to upset people? They want to take care of everybody else in the office. How has that played out in your professional experience?
right. I definitely really dislike confrontation. And it is like, just can we all just get along? And that's just not life. That doesn't how it always goes. I am very lucky where both of my employers and all of the employees do get along for the most part, but you do take it on as like, okay, they talk to me, this one's talking to me, they say this. I mean, there's always a little bit of drama and getting in the middle of it. But I think as I've aged and understand how each one reacts, I'm learning how to kind of help the piece. But sometimes it's on them. I really try not to start drama or be I just kind of like to keep the peace if possible. But it
How
definitely
about
can get stressful.
Yeah. How about overextending? I mean, do you take on additional roles in the office that you are doing for others just because you want to do them? Like you are trying to attune to the needs of your office a little bit more than
Right.
others. Do you feel
Right.
frustrated in that when others don't perform like you do?
So I feel like as a two, and this is maybe just me personally, I don't know if it's a two thing, but like my self-worth is like, what are you doing? So if I'm at work, like it makes me happy to stay busy. I want to help you clean rooms. I want to help take extra x-rays or it doesn't bother me, I guess, a ton if somebody's taking a break and to me, I am getting my self-worth by what I'm doing. And maybe as I've aged, that's improved too. But I want to stay busy. I want to keep going. So, yes, by the end of the day, you're like exhausted because you're working, but that's why you're there, right?
Right, exactly.
So I don't feel that, I guess.
Yeah.
As
Do you
much.
ever feel unappreciated if those efforts go unnoticed?
Yes. I do think that especially in um the clinic that I oversee, you're the only person. And for the main clinic, it's like out of sight, out of mind. And I think because they're focused on their clinic and they have so many people there and you're just there, sometimes it is like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. I've got scheduling and you're looking at inmate info, like there's so much of that isn't seen.
Do you ever feel underappreciated?
Not necessarily underappreciated, but just like, do you understand how much work this is? Not
Yeah.
that I don't feel like they appreciate me, but like, are you appreciating me? Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's
Like
like
it's
this
unnoticed.
balance. Yes, unnoticed. And I do think in the last couple of years, we've started doing yearly check-ins where you go in on a yearly basis and talk about like what your strengths are, how are you feeling. And for me, as somebody who doesn't want to complain, I don't want to make somebody unhappy. I don't want to feel like I don't enjoy what I'm doing. I don't want you to think that I'm uncomfortable. It gives you a safe space to hear what they think, and then you do it has been kind of resolved, like you are appreciated, they do see what you're doing even if you're not feeling that way. And so I
Yeah.
do think maybe even in office, if a two is feeling like that, you could reach out to your employers and, hey, can I have a yearly check-in? So if you're and some people don't give compliments, like maybe a two wants to hear it or anybody.
Yeah.
So I think maybe even asking for a yearly check-in, how am I doing as an employer? What do you
Yeah.
want more out
Asking
of
for
me?
feedback.
Because
Yeah.
I think that's been huge. It just gives a safe place to express any concerns that you have, but also get feedback that maybe they just are an employer or somebody that just naturally hands that out.
Right. So, how do you, if you feel yourself in a position where you do need help, say you are overextended or you do have like a big project, how do you handle situations when you have to ask coworkers or patients for help? Do you struggle with asking for assistance?
I do. I think it's just easier and less. I do. I definitely feel like I would rather just get it done myself. But at the same time, I do, especially private practice where there is multiple employers and we all work really, really well together. And they are just like me, where like if I have downtime, I'm going to come help you if I can. And they do the same. I don't really have to ask because I luckily have a really good team.
I was gonna say, I feel
I
like you have
just,
like, I feel like you have a unicorn office,
I
and that's
do. And
that's a
that,
good thing.
yes, even like on that first question, we never really got to like coworkers. Like I have got a dream of office right away. Like you're just so happy you have a small town office. But when you have a whole dental office that kind of has the same goals for the patients and everybody really cares about the patient needs, like I really can't complain in that regard. And it's hard to say how I would handle that situation. The roles were reversed, I would probably just not, honestly. But I luckily don't, it's not that big of an issue just because we do have a really good team who supports. And I feel like if I needed to ask for help, I really wouldn't have to.
Right.
I have a
Right.
dream team. I really do.
Okay, so for like practical application, work-life balance, how do you handle maybe being super busy at work or super maybe overextended, maybe not, but how do you balance that with your personal life? How do you integrate work-life balance with two kids, a husband, two practices that you're balancing? I mean, you got a lot on your
Yeah.
plate.
Yeah, it's more on the personal side of things where I am learning to say no. That is extremely hard for me. I want to be involved. I want like all of the side activities. And before kids, it was a little bit easier. Just I was involved in so many different things. And now as the kids are little, it's too much. And so find, like going through the list of what you're involved in and what brings you the most joy, what's going to benefit the family the most. I'm still learning to do that. I'm not good at saying no. And then you are a little overwhelmed. But I have been a little bit better about like meditating and at the end of the day trying to just kind of take some me time to balance that out. But yeah, just learning how to say no. And I still haven't quite figured all of that, how to figure that out yet, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I like being involved in things. It's connecting with people. But again, I get that in the dental side. I just think about all the people that I've gotten to know through all these years that I would have never had a relationship with outside of the dental office. So I just
Mhm.
really luckily have that through. I get a lot of my social needs met just
Right.
on an hourly basis.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but yeah, personally, definitely. I'm learning. I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
Yeah. Last like subject, I guess. We're going to talk about empathy. Empathy is also another really strong trait of the two. So how has empathy been able to play a part in building trust or building relationships, especially like with navigating challenging situations? Like you talked about your cerebral palsy patient. How has empathy helped you navigate challenging situations?
I truly care for my patients and all of my coworkers. And I luckily, I think this is a big part of when you're searching for your dental office is just finding people around you who you agree with in regards to coworkers. And there's always something, but I feel like one of the biggest things that I really dislike confrontation. I don't like drama. I'm just all about peace and love. Like get along. But I think the biggest thing I've learned as I've gotten older and more comfortable with is communication. Being being honest with people, but be doing that in a caring way. Like we all want the same outcome. We all want to be content and happy at work. You spend so much time at work in your life. Like
I
you want
know.
that to be a peaceful, fun place. And so finding that I think is really important. It's not just a job and you get to go home. It's a big part of your life. And so,
It's a huge part of your life. You spend most of your waking hours at work. Like life is too
yes,
short to hate your job. And
yes,
like it's hard with the students, obviously, they have to find a first job, right? But no job is a bad job. Well, every job is going to get you to another new job. But if you can find an office that has people that you can be in a relationship with, a professional relationship, but a
yes.
relationship enough to actually have like mutual respect
Yes.
That is so valuable. I mean, that is probably the number one most valuable piece of advice for new grads is
Yeah.
just keep looking, look for a place where you belong.
And that you agree with how they treat patients, agree with
Mhm.
how they treat people. It's so dental offices, I feel like, are kind of turning into a business. And I feel like we should be more healthcare than
Yes.
what some are. Not all of them. There are great dental practices out there, but I feel like it's definitely changed into like this business side of things. And it has to. It's a business, but I feel like the healthcare should be the number one goal.
Yeah. And I've had the pleasure of
Anyway,
working for the dentist that you work for now. And I can say hands down, he is
wonderful.
the most caring and the most involved dentist I've ever worked for. I mean, he truly cares. So again, finding a dentist that you can work for that has those same morals is essential. Yeah.
Yes. And I think, I don't know if that goes with the empathy per se. I don't know how I got off on that spiel,
That's
but
okay.
I do,
That's okay.
I truly care for my patients and I want the best out of the treatment that we're planning and we're doing. And I think, again, that the patients can, I hope, get that from me and I want to support them in that. And I think showing that to them, how can I be supportive of you? It's a teamwork thing. You can spend all that time in their mouth and if they don't do their end of things, like
Yeah. It's not going to matter.
it's not going to matter. And so like, how can I support you? I truly want this for you. And what can we do together to get that? And empathizing with things that they maybe have at home, empathizing with the patient to make your treatment the best that it can be.
Yeah, 100%. Any last parting thoughts that you have for all the twos listening? What would you tell them about being a two? What is your favorite part about the Enneagram Two?
I think my favorite part of being a two is just the connections that you build with people and how, just even my experience through the dental office, how big of a role they have. I don't like that either.
We can talk about the desire to connect. I mean, I think that's what you're trying to get
Right?
at, right? The desire to connect.
Yes. Yes. So do I just say that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the best part of being a two is just that desire to connect with people, um, and not in a shallow way, but on a deeper level. I love getting to know people. Um,
Do you consider yourself an extrovert? Because I go back and forth with you. Sometimes I'm like, you are such an
I know.
introvert. But
I'm such a
then
homebody.
yeah, maybe that's a better word for it because do think you get a lot of fulfillment of that extrovert nature at work. So maybe
Yes.
by
Oh, that's
then you're kind of
huge.
checked out.
Yes, I agree. I'm kind of like peopled out. That's an And
Yeah.
two, I also I like to connect. I want to get to know your story, but I don't trust anybody. I don't want to go deep on I don't know if and maybe that's not for this.
Maybe it's
I have
Josh
a
in your ear.
yes, as the older I get, I'm just like, I don't know if I want to
Yeah.
trust you. I don't know what I am, introvert versus extrovert, because I
Yeah.
have that deep want I want to get to know all of you, but I don't know if I want to share all of
Oh, you know
me.
me. Yeah.
Right. Like, yeah, I don't know.
That's funny. I wonder how much of that is your seven coming out too. Sevens are like enthusiastic for fun. Sevens are
Yes.
like looking for joy. And I see a lot of that in you too. So I love that seven is like your second highest because you definitely hands down are always looking for like joy and happiness and like, come on, everybody, be happy. Like,
Yeah.
let's all, yeah. So,
Let's do fun stuff.
right.
Let's have a good time. Like if we're going to be at work, like let's have a good time. And
Exactly.
like even in that hour in the office, like if you're going to be at the dental office, like let's make this a fun day for you. But let's
Right. I
improve that
love that.
smile
I
in a
love that.
cheesy way. Like, I love making people smile. I love getting that out of people, and I get to like polish them up too. Like not only do I get to make you smile, I'm making your smile look good.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a blend of like two, it's a desire for connection, it's a desire for like helping people, but also it's like seven, we're gonna have fun with this. We're all gonna be positive and happy and enthusiastic. So I
Yeah.
love that. It's like the perfect blend for you. And then
It's
there's
me.
me. It's funny because I was thinking about how similar we sound, and I was like, boy, this podcast is just gonna sound like me talking to myself because our
Right.
voices sound so similar. And I was like, it's just gonna sound like
It's
me.
like our one, right? Just talking to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're
And I
listening
heard you
to
say
this,
that thing. I heard you say that thing about 8, get your hard hat or whatever. And that is
yeah,
not true. That is
that's
not
what they
true.
say. That's what they say. But no, I just think it's funny because like, we grew up in the same household, very different personalities, but I
So
think it
different.
works. So
Yes.
different, but it works for us. And it, I mean, I'm sure every family has that dynamic. Our mom, of course, is a very, very strong two as well. We made her take the test a long time ago. And our mom is a very strong two too. So I'm sure that's where you get a lot of it from.
Yes. Yep,
Just
definitely.
just
I
kind of
wonder
how we
what
were
dad
raised.
is. Have you ever made him do this?
I haven't. We should make him do it.
I don't know it as well as you do, but I would be intrigued to see what he is.
My
If
guess?
you,
Oh, I don't know. I better not guess. We'll make him do it. We'll make him do it
yeah,
and we'll report back to you guys what our dad is.
yeah,
So,
right.
well, thank you for coming on finally. I think
Thank
that
you.
we're gonna have you on more, hopefully.
Yeah, that would be super fun.
We just like chatting dental stuff anyway because we're nerds and that's who we are.
Dental nerds.
So, all
Proud.
right. Yes. Thank you for your time. Thanks for listening, guys. Interview with a two. So, if you have questions, comments, put them down in the comment box. And if you like, share, or subscribe, we really appreciate it. We appreciate the support. And we will see you next week when we talk about Enneagram 3. So, we'll see you then.